Hey, this is TomQPublic from Tom's Hit Parade, and I am super pumped about this. This is my first YouTube collaboration video, and I am joining forces with
SMEB Reviews. And on my channel, I usually take a look at 1 or 2 new albums a week that come out either of older or newer artists, and take a look and dissect and review them.
For a classic album review, we are talking about 90125, the 11th album from the legendary prog rock band Yes. And to borrow a phrase from my co-host, let's get to it. Now, the curious thing about this album is that Yes actually broke up 2 years before they recorded it. Yeah, 2 former members of the band got together with musician Trevor Rabin, who, by the way, now is enjoying a successful career as a film composer, for a project they were going to call Cinema. This was built off of demo tracks that Rabin produced. Now, as the project progressed, 2 earlier former members of Yes joined in on the project, and eventually they just decided to drop the name Cinema and rebrand it as the next Yes album. Now, this explains why the album has much more of a radio-friendly pop sound to it, as opposed to the prog rock leanings that the band was well known for up to that point. But you know what? I'm totally fine with that. I could never get into prog rock bands. I've tried several times. Rush has never done much anything for me, neither has Styx. But anyway, now the only song that the vast majority of casual listeners are going to be familiar with from this album is the big hit single Owner of a Lonely Heart. And if that's the case with you, that is doing this album a grave injustice. It is just really selling it short. Every single song, in my opinion, on this album is nothing less than very good, at the very least. Now, being from a prog rock background, one of Yes's strength is their lyrics. Although don't ask me what each of the songs means, because I will admit that I'm not the best at deciphering lyrics that are much more than literal. One of the great things about this album is Trevor Rabin's guitar work. It is just fantastic throughout. It gives some of the songs like Hold On and City of Love almost a hard rock sound, and put the arena rock style vocals with that, and it reminds me of some of the best stuff from the 80s albums of Def Leppard or Van Halen. So this album really does have a variance in sounds. Now, although it does have much more of a mainstream sound, as I said earlier, they don't totally leave their prog rock roots behind. One of the examples of this is the song Changes. It has kind of a polyrhythmic, although I might be using the wrong word, beginning before it leads into the main part of the song, and then they reprise that little beginning thing at the very end. And so that kind of gives it that eclectic sort of prog rock feel. And also the closing track, Hearts, has just a lush, sweeping, epic kind of a sound that is textbook prog. I mean, you'd find it on Rush albums and probably some Styx albums as well. And getting back to the pop rock style, Our Song is another great song on this album. I just love that. My favorite song on the album, though, for a long, long time has always been Leave It. It's, from what I can tell on YouTube, it's pretty much a staple of the repertoire of college and high school a cappella groups. I mean, you'll find several videos of a cappella groups singing Leave It. It feels to me like a scaled-back, new wave take on Bohemian Rhapsody. That might sound strange to those of you who are familiar with the song, but it's just that's the feeling that I get from it. It's just I just love the song, the varying styles that it incorporates into it. It's just great. Although, since reacquainting myself with this album in the last several months, that song is in a dead heat with It Can Happen. I love everything about that song. The lyrics, the melody, they're just great. But the thing that really gets it for me is the sitar. I don't know why I love the sitar, but I do. I mean, in moderation, of course. But yeah, that just totally makes the song for me. I don't know what it is. Some people say I want more cowbell in that song. I would tend to say I want more sitar. That's just me. So, but anyway, as you can tell from me going on and on about this album, I can't say enough good things about it. Every single song is just excellent. I would score 98 out of 100 easily. If you haven't listened to it yet, you've got to. There's little wonder why it's considered one of the best albums of the 80s. But enough from me. SMEB Reviews, what are your thoughts?
Thanks, Tom. So, yeah, as Tom said, honestly, this is a much more pop-leaning album than their past works. Now, me personally, I am a fan of prog rock. It's a genre that I really do enjoy, and yes, it is a legendary prog rock band that I do thoroughly enjoy throughout most of their discography. Now, that being said, I don't think that there's anything wrong with them taking a more pop-leaning sound on this album. It's honestly a really refreshing sound. Not that necessarily their sound was getting old. They were experts at this and could make really interesting sounds. But it's nice to hear them trying something new and giving a little different taste. It's nice to see that they can well balance those two sounds as well, because as Tom mentioned, Hearts is a more progressive-leaning song, plus it's longer. So it does show their roots, but yet we still do get a little more traditional sounding songs, such as Owner of a Lonely Heart, songs that definitely lean towards the pop side of things. So it's nice to hear that they well balanced it, because this is a very well balanced album. And honestly, while yes, is excellent and I do love them, honestly, let's be real, a lot of their music can get a little overblown. Close to the Edge is a 3-tracks album with like 40 minutes of runtime. It's really long and can get a little overblown. Now, that's not to say necessarily that album is terrible, but you get my point. We get 10-minute songs from Yes, and sometimes that's just a little long. So it's nice to hear a little more condensed 4-minute pop songs that still retain really excellent musical capabilities in them. Ironically, one of my favorite songs is one of Tom's favorite as well, It Can Happen. It's an incredible song that really works excellently. The band is firing on all cylinders, and it's got a lot of power behind it. The soundscape just hits you. It's a really, really great song. And yeah, the sitar opening, that's pretty good too. It's a good track and definitely one of my favorites on the album. That being said, I don't really have a song that I just hate. Changes is maybe my least favorite. It just doesn't really have quite as much interesting guitar lines and as interesting music as a whole. Plus, the vocals just sound a little strained, and that's just one small thing that it just really draws back from this song. But as a whole, this album's incredible, and I do really love it. Even Owner of a Lonely Heart, which some people could probably look down on as being definitely a departure from the Yes sound, yeah, it's still a really good song and a solid pop song. There's a reason why that's one of the Yes songs that stuck around. Ultimately, though, yeah, this album is incredible. I do really enjoy this album. It is a strong album. There's so much great musicianship, which is to be expected with Yes, and I absolutely love it from front to back. Changes is really the only weaker song, and still, it's pretty good. Yeah, ultimately, I'm going to give this a 9.5 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching our first collab. What did you guys think of this? Is there anything we can do to improve the quality of the collab? Definitely check out Tom, and then if you're watching on his account, please come over and check out my videos. It'd mean a lot, and we are really looking forward to doing future collabs together, because this is fun, and we had a good time with it. So thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to both of us, and we'll see you guys later.